I can't stop loving you, child. No matter what, I can't stop loving you. Can't stop loving you, child. No matter what, I can't stop loving you. With all the pressure we bear, on the heartache we feel, yes, I know that love is real.
Now let's go to some archaeology evidence and let's read a statement of truth in the book of Proverbs chapter 12 verse 22. Lying lips are an abomination to the Creator, but they that deal truly are his delight. Just like Christianity is dealing with lying lips, because there's no such thing, and that's not what the scriptures is talking about. Egyptology is dealing with lying lips. Zeitgeist is dealing with lying lips, so on and so forth. Now what we're looking at here today, okay, we're looking at a plaque known as the Elba Tablets, Damascus National Museum, which is in the location of what we know today as the Middle East. Let's read. It says the Elba Tablets, they were discovered in northern Syria by two professors from the University of Rome, Dr. Paolo Matti, an archaeologist, and Dr. Giovanni Pitanato. Okay, let us keep going. Excavation, it began in 1964 and in 1968, and they continue stating that since 1974, 17,000 tablets have been discovered. Now let's keep this in mind, these Elba tablets, 17,000 tablets that they found throughout their archaeological excavation throughout the years. Okay, these are records, okay, going back over 4,000 BC years of time. Okay, and in these tablets are the recordings of Genesis, the 14th chapter, how Abraham conquered the Elamite king named Chedorlaomer in Genesis, the 14th chapter, in the first verse. And you jump to the 17th verse, and it explains how Abraham conquered, okay, this Elamite king, Chedorlaomer. Now, let us continue. Dr. Giovanni Pitanato, former, okay, the Italian missionary, okay, and Dr. Matti. I'm just skipping because I want to get right to the point. One can only conclude that writings has been in use at Elba for a long time. Before 2000 BC, the Elba tablets verified the worship of the pagan god such as Baal. Baal was one of the satanic chief so-called gods of the Canaanites, which really represent worship in the demon world. You can read about that in Judges chapter 2 verse 13, 1 Kings chapter 16 verse 13, when Ahab served this satanic order worshiping what they call Baal. Jeremiah chapter 2 verse 8 speaks about how the Israelite prophets, they used to prophesy by satanic Baal. Also in what they call the Elba archaeological tablets, it makes mention of Dagon, which was the so-called god of the Philistines, and Asherus, okay, known previously only from the Bible. Now here comes the bomb. Brother Ray Hagen said there is no Abraham, and Abraham is a mythology. Well, in these tablets known as the Elba tablets, I'm going to put emphasis on this. You're going to over 4,000 years BC in times of information. It makes mention in the Elba tablets. They mention the name Abraham and Ur of Chaldeans, the biblical Abraham's birthplace, which is in the Middle East, Mesopotamia. Just like it states in the book of Genesis chapter 11 verse 28, it speaks about how Haran, okay, the brother of Abraham, who their father is Terah, how he died, okay, in the birthplace in Ur of the Chaldeans. Okay, let's read that one more time here. Let this sink in. Okay, we're dealing with records that's going back, known as the Elba tablets, over 4,000 BC of time, written over 4,000 BC. And in these records, it records, okay, it says they make mention of the name of Abraham and Ur of Chaldean, the biblical Abraham's birthplace, as well as other families, cities, and places. So, brother Mr. Ray Hagens, if you're about truth, sincerely, I don't know everything, but we're just presenting the facts. you got to go back and reevaluate and recollect, because you missed out a whole lot of pieces to the puzzle. Like it says in Proverbs chapter 12, verse 15, the way of a fool is arrogant, high-minded, he's a liar. He or she will not take no correction. They're dealing with a lot of ego. That's what a fool is dealing with, not knowledge and understanding. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he that hearken unto counsel is wise. And this is part of that counsel. Archaeological evidence to prove that this lie that they're putting out, that Abraham did not exist, is nothing but an abomination lie. Proverbs 12:22. Lying lips is an abomination to the Creator. So there you have it, my brothers and sisters, what they call the Elba tablets in the Damascus Museum in the Middle East. Okay, the excavation started around 1974, 17,000 tablets, records recording from over 4,000 year BC of time, making mention of Abraham and the other families in Abraham's birthplace and what we know today in the Middle East, confirming that Abraham did exist. Just like Genesis chapter 14 verse 13 speaks about Abraham the Hebrew. Like it states in the book of Proverbs chapter 3 verse 3, another true statement. Let not mercy and truth forsaken thee. Bind them about thy neck. And that's what we need to do. Now what we're looking at right now, we're looking at a papyrus known as the Ipuwer papyrus. It states right here, in the 19th century, an ancient papyrus was found in Egypt. It was taken to the museum in Holland and interpreted by A.H. Gardenia in 1909. Now let's analyze the interpretation, which they discovered, which is recorded on this papyrus. What does this papyrus have to say? The papyrus describes violent upheavals in Egypt, starvation, droughts, escapes of slaves. Sounds pretty much like the book of Exodus to me, pertaining to the Egyptians keeping the Israelites in captivity. It says in this papyrus, it speaks about the escape of slaves with the wealth of the Egyptians, as Exodus chapter 12 verse 33 to 36 records. Let's continue, my brothers and sisters. Okay, it speaks about the escape of the slaves, okay, escaping with the wealth of the Egyptians and the death throughout the land. And the papyrus written by an Egyptian named Ipuwer. And this was written by an Egyptian by the name of Ipuwer. And appears to be an eyewitness account of the effects of the Exodus plagues. The account parallel the Bible of Exodus. Papyrus 210, the river is blood. Go to Exodus 7:20. It speaks about how the rivers of the waters was turned into blood. Remember, this was written by an ancient Egyptian man by the name of Ipuwer. Let us continue. On the papyrus 414, 6-1, it speaks about trees being destroyed, no fruit, no herbs are found. Exodus chapter 9:25 speaks about how the Almighty Father sent hail to smoke down every herb of the field and break every tree of the field. Papyrus 2:10, okay, by this ancient Egyptian Ipuwer records, forsooth gates, columns, and walls are consumed by fire. Exodus chapter 9:23 and 24 speaks about how the fire ran along the ground. There was hail and fire mingled with the hail very grievous. Papyrus 9 and 11 speaks about the land. They have no light in the land. Exodus chapter 10:22, it speaks about how there was thick darkness all throughout the land of Egypt. Let us put emphasis on this situation. These records were written by an Egyptian named Ipuwer in ancient biblical BC time. This information is being suppressed, and all they're going to do is sex up some lies to counter-react against this truth. Let's continue in Papyrus 4, 3, 5, 6, 6, 12. Forsooth, the children of the princes are dashed against the walls. Forsooth, the children of princes are cast out in the streets. Exodus chapter 12:29. And it came to pass that at midnight, this is the interpretation of that papyrus, that the Creator smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat on the throne. So there you have it, just like it states in the book of Proverbs, chapter 8, verse 7. For my mouth shall speak truth, and wickedness is an abomination to my lips. Yes, one of my favorite sisters by the name of Harriet Tubman, and they have her picture in the Library of Congress, recorded in a book called The Crossing the Danger Water, edited with an introduction by Deirdre Mullane. It states this in that book called The Crossing the Danger of the Water, how Harriet Tubman had many sisters, as we're reading right here today. It also states, already in Harriet Tubman's mind, her people were the Israelites in the land of Egypt. And this is not something that she learned, okay, from what you call Christianity or religion. This is something that our forefathers knew way before slavery, before captivity. You check out when our ancestors was living, like I said before, on the west coast of Africa in Dahomey, they had a Torah written in Hebrew. That's why when you go back into the early 1900s and 1920s, you'll find brothers, okay, from what we call the so-called Caribbeans by the name of Josiah Ford, speaks about how he is a descendant from the bloodline of the Hebrews. Just like what we're looking at right now. One of our families in Nigeria here today, known as the Igbo tribe. You see? And they did not classify themselves as African. That's something that was made up. You can look up this information for yourself. I met an Igbo sister. The Igbo, Beni, Yisrael, Jew of Nigeria. Okay, the real translation, to put it in perspective, is supposed to be the Hebrews. And we know there's no E, no J, no V, okay, in the Hebrew. This is the distortion of falsehood interpretation. Produced by the Igbo, Beni Yisrael Association of Nigeria. You see, everybody in Africa is not saying they're Africans. I keep reiterating on that over and over again. The Igbo tribe that understand the history will tell you that they are descendant of the Hebrews, and they did not learn this from no religious, no Christianity, none of that garbage, and no garbage Judaism. Yes, my brothers and sisters, we're dealing with the truth. We're not talking about no Israelite madness where you see certain individuals using the Bible to curse people out like a mad monster, maniac, caveman. Almighty Father going to deal with them for that, because this is not what the Most High told us to do. We are search for righteous man. Jeremiah the 5th chapter. Run ye to and fro through the streets of Jerusalem, and see now, and know and seek in the broad places thereof, if you can find a man, if there be any that execute judgment and seek the truth. That's the mission, because everything that's happening on this earth is in that Bible. But they have explained it incorrectly, and they have used the Bible to capitalize off of people's ignorance and turned this thing into some type of satanic corporation. Like it states in the book of Isaiah chapter 1:18, come let us reason, though our sins be as scarlet, they shall be white as snow. Let's have a discussion. Let's deal with this thing with intelligence, not deal with each other like savage and demons and dogs and devils. There's a history, okay, pertaining to our heritage, going back in past time, where our ancestors once dwelled in the region known as Mesopotamia. And they had certain churches set up where they used to worship the Creator. And they drew certain inscriptions on the wall, such as this inscription that we're going to show you here today, describing Moses leading the Israelites across the Red Sea. Okay, this is a 3rd century wall painting in the ancient synagogue, okay, of Dura Europus on the Euphrates rivers, which is in the area known as Iraq. Okay, now here's the picture, the image. Now, ain't no white person drew this. And as you look real clearly with your eyes, you can see that this is a brother. Okay, and this is an illustration pertaining to our history. This is not no mythology. You can see he has melanoma on his skin, and you can see all the other brothers and sisters. This represents Moses leading the 12 tribes of Israel through the Red Sea, a 3rd century wall painting, okay, in the ancient synagogue, rather building, church, because the church really represents the people, okay, of Dura Europus on the Euphrates, okay, which is in the area of the Middle East, in the region of Mesopotamia. These are the facts.
I can't stop loving you, child. No matter what, I can't stop loving you. No, no, no. Can't pressure we bear, on the heartache we feel, yes. I know Jah love is real, yeah. With all the fussing and fighting, people don't want to unite. If there's no day, there is no night. Try to make the things alright. Can't stop loving you, Jah. No matter what I can.